Anti-Afro Spingalies. This is my first commentary on Dempsey Spears, aka Dumpsey, aka D.Derell, since Rev G a couple days ago dropped the 411 bombshell on his live that Dumpsey had a 9-count indictment returned against him for healthcare fraud and aggravated identity theft. I'm going to explain to you what aggravated identity theft is according to the federal statute, because several people had questions about what exactly this means. I'm going to tell you all about it. But before I do that, I want to say this briefly. I am going to stay focused on Dumpsey D.Derell's case as it snakes its way through the federal justice system. I'm not going to be pulled away by bunco beefs, by tantrum throwing, by screaming and hollering, by lies, by slander, by none of it. I'm going to stay focused. If I decide something needs to be addressed, I will address it, but it will be on my terms and on my timeline. Once I posted my first commentary, I'm off to the races when it comes to covering Dumpsey D.Derell's federal case. I'm not going to give troublemakers my time and attention. Should any lines be crossed, I'm going to do just what I've always done. I'm going to handle that business. It doesn't make any difference to me who does or doesn't cover Dumpsey's federal case. If they cover it, they cover it. If they don't, they don't. I'm going to cover it. That's the important thing to me. I'm not going to worry about whoever else out there isn't covering the case or talking about the case. I'm not going to concern myself with anything other than getting the facts and covering this case. Dumpsey's 9-count indictment for healthcare fraud and aggravated identity theft. I want to go and take you back to the prelude. These two crimes, the healthcare fraud and the aggravated identity theft, is right here. So we see here from March 2015 to May 2015, and just to be clear, this is the licensing board in Texas, officially known as the Texas Behavioral Health Executive Council. He turned in claims for services to Medicaid, which means he told Medicaid that he provided certain services. It says those services were not mutually agreed upon by the clients, plural, and respondent, which means they claimed they did not see him for the times that he claimed. Like, for example, say they came once, because this is actually reflected in his evaluations. So they come for the first session. He gets their information. He bills for that session. Then he continues to bill without having seen the clients. So how do they figure this out? You may be asking. Well, I'm sure there were some who said, I'm going to look for another counselor. There may have been others that say, oh, forget it. I'm not even going to deal with this. Trust and believe. Folks were complaining. So they would go to another counselor to sign up for sessions, and then they're told, you already used up all your sessions. Because when you have Medicaid and you're providing mental health care, they give you initially a set number of sessions. It used to be back in the day, you could just go and go and go and go. They started making it more concise as to a timeline. And if you need to have more sessions, you would have to request more sessions when the current ones are exhausted. So they go to another counselor and they only saw Dumpsey once or twice, but now they're being told they have no sessions left. What are you talking about? He was continuing to bill, although they didn't come to his office, to the tune of $8,000, people, in a 2-month period. This is the health care fraud element. Healthcare fraud is important to keep in mind that it covers both attempts and successes with pulling off your scheme to basically defraud anyone or any company that is attached to the federal government healthcare system or a state healthcare system. The state healthcare systems get money from the feds. It's just being managed by the state, what they call a federal pass-through. Any process that is used to obtain any money, goods, services, property, anything attached to any of these programs that are funded by the federal government constitutes health care fraud. Keep in mind, you can fail at your attempts. That is still considered health care fraud, just as it would be if you are successful. Go back to what he did. The state licensing board tagged him for that. If ever there was healthcare fraud, here it is, folks. Plain as day. He billed Medicaid and got a benefit, although he provided no services, providing services that clients don't agree with. A scheme he ran, best believe it was not one or two people to get to $8,000. No, he involved himself with many different people. Yes, this serves as a dual criminal offense because it's directly related to the aggravated identity theft. He obtained the benefit is the part that covers healthcare fraud, and who he targeted would cover the aggravated identity theft. When he was disciplined, they didn't even know all he had done. Look here where it says they don't even quantify it, because clearly it needed to be further investigated. Look here at the section. It's a different time period, 2017 to 2018. They're not connecting it to 2015. That's a different time period. But it says he used another counselor's NPI number to bill for services, plural, rendered by respondent, which means it wasn't just a one-time deal or one person. It can't be just one person. He obtained a benefit by targeting a specific program. The NPI system is a specific program. The counselor, him or herself, is someone he targeted who was involved in this program. This is an element of health care fraud. It also serves a dual role. He took information that belonged to someone else and used it. That is identity theft. He was perpetrating as if he was someone else to get a benefit. Which leads me right into the elements of aggravated identity theft. There are 11 in total ways which somebody can perpetrate aggravated identity theft under the federal statute. If you look here, I present the 5 most likely ways that this applies to Dumpsey. Now, he very well could have committed fraud on his passport, because that's one of the criteria for aggravated identity theft. I don't think he did anything with the passport. That's my guess. I'm thinking what he did was connected to what he was supposed to be doing for clients, which is providing mental health care. So I'm picking these 5 out. Look at section 641, were the actions related to the theft of public money, property, or rewards. Absolutely was. Medicaid is public money. Now, obviously, he doesn't work for a bank, but then again, he could have done something with his bank. I don't know if it applies. All of it doesn't need to apply. What applies is relating to the theft of public money, property, or rewards. Check this particular chapter out. They're just making sure they're covering all bases. In case we miss anything, if you make any other false statements or if there's fraud identified anywhere else in this chapter, you meet the criteria for aggravated identity theft. Check this one out. Number 5, mail, bank, and wire fraud. If you're talking about Medicaid for therapy sessions, we have to fill out a specific form, which I'm going to go over with you in another video. So he had to fill that out to get that money. And he sent it in the mail because you can't send it electronically, not in California. Are you all telling me that he took the form over to the office every single time he filled it out? No, of course not. He dropped that form in the United States mail, and that would be mail fraud. If Texas has a unique system to electronically submit that Medicaid form for therapy and get paid, it would be wire fraud. Committing a crime and transmitting the instruments of crime through the U.S. mail is mail fraud. Same goes, just change the title. If it's through electronic means, wire fraud. So they got him in this section. Okay, here comes another one. Number 8, relating to obtaining customer information by false pretenses. Of course, if somebody only comes to a session once and he gets all their information, he ghosts them, but he keeps continuing to bill their Medicaid plan. The reason for bringing them in is false pretenses because he had no intention of providing counseling services beyond 1 or 2 sessions. The reason for bringing them in was to get their information. This meets the criteria for aggravated identity theft. Oh my goodness, people. Look at this 11. Social Security. Good Lord. Guess what he had to have in order to bill on the other counselor's national provider ID? He would have had to have their Social Security number. This is the other counselor. With clients, we don't use Social Security numbers anymore to bill. People have state issued code or some federal issued code, client code or patient code. That's what we put in. It's going to depend on your state, which number you're going to use. So that Social Security number has to be applying to the counselor's NPI number who he stole from. You need the NPI number and you need the Social Security number to fill out that Medicaid form in order for the counselor to be paid. So these are 5 sections. This is what I am saying apply. We're going to get all the details. I didn't get all the details before I unfortunately had to go on destruction mission. I believe this is 1 through 5. Again, there are 11 in total. It won't be long until the documents are again available to the general public. In the meantime, any other information can become available. If and when it does, I'm certainly going to report on it. I'm also going to be giving additional information so anyone out there interested can understand just what these charges mean. And I am never going to neglect to weave in past occurrences and examining them with respect to their meaning present day. Oh, I know, folks, you're going to enjoy this. Yes, you can enjoy it. You have permission to enjoy this particular situation if you so please. I'm going to go into how much enjoyment there was when Dumpsey D.Derell, flunkies and fools, were claiming I was the one under investigation. I was the one being charged. The same lies were floated around about Rev G for years. And anyone else who were either our friends, supporters, or simply those who chose not to attack us. They were all duly accused of being under investigation with pending charges, criminal or civil action. This is what's been said over how many years? Bottom line is that we always had the patience. We knew this was coming down the pike. It was just a matter of when. We've been patient this entire time. No need to change course when we know the inevitable has arrived. What was going to happen is happening. It's here. Having just a little more patience, not going to cause us any harm. In fact, as we know, patience is indeed a virtue, just as it's imperative that you never forget to heed the warning. Buyer beware.